I had a second job at World of Wings as a hostess. I worked with a lot of white women as a hostess in the front of the restaurant. I remember Larry's cousin coming to see me. He had a mansion, and when I was with my ex-boyfriend, he let us come to stay at his mansion for a few days when they went out of town. I met his nephew from Cincinnati, I believe. He lived next to Little Bow Wow in a gated community where you had to show your driver's license and give your license plate number in order to enter. It was very cool. They sat down, they got something to eat, then they were gone. My family was never there at my mother's house when I was home. My sister was off to college, and my other sister was always gone. They were into extracurricular activities in school. I worked, so when I got home, I would talk on the phone or try to talk to my mother. My mother ended up going out of town, saying that she was going to Texas with a woman that she met and was now dating. I was being left at the home by myself in my mother's 3-story home where I had the entire 3rd floor to myself and her Jaguar that I took for a ride with some of the young people from the restaurant. I remember before my mother left, my boyfriend that I was dating, who worked at Zaxby's, his baby mama wanted me to babysit their child. I was nice enough to do it. Then she and he started to stage some sort of altercations to where I had to end things. He started ignoring me, and I just didn't want anything to do with the drama, so now I was single. So there were a few guys at the World of Wings who worked in the kitchen and at the bar, I believe. There was a white guy and a couple of black guys who I met. They were interested in me. Also, I was going to try to drive my mother's Jaguar back to College Park to see my friend. But when I got near the highway, I realized I didn't have a license. I could not drive. So I didn't want to take the risk. So I decided to stay in Duluth, Sugar Land area. I remember I had gone up to the mall to look for jobs and no one would hire me there. This was the job that I was able to be hired for. So now they were laying people off and business was kind of slow, but I still had a job. So I remember being at home by myself, pretty bored. There were some Chinese people in the neighborhood next door, but I don't know if they had children and no one ever seemed to come outside. So I remember the young black man coming over to visit, and he snuck in the door downstairs to my room, and I didn't do anything with him. Like, I just couldn't do it. I didn't like him. So then there was the young white man, and he come down to my room and come through the back door as well, and I didn't want to do anything with him either. There was a man I met online, and he came by when my mother was there, and I didn't want to leave with him. So they would kind of kiss on me and get very close, but, you know, I would always stop them, and it just felt wrong. So there I was getting phone calls from my friend's friend saying that he was in the military and he wanted to marry me. I said, you either really love me or you're crazy, because I had only met him one time. He told me that he was going to the National Guard and that he really loved me. So we started talking on the phone, and my mother returned from out of town saying that she wanted to move to Texas after 2 weeks of visiting Texas. She said that she would want to move out with her girlfriend that she was dating, that she had just met. I told my mother that I didn't want to leave because I had started to get myself enrolled in college. So my grandmother had moved down from Chicago with some of my cousins and was living there. And they were flat ironing my hair and using the hot comb on my natural hair. I remember I was writing songs and I had let my boyfriend hear over the phone, and when my ex-boyfriend come to visit, they say I was offbeat and they needed to help me work on that, which was true. I remember coming into the job, I would wear blonde weave in my hair, and it was hard to keep the type of appearance that was acceptable to the white people. I remember one day the manager tells me that things were kind of slow and that he would be laying me off. I noticed that they kept the white girls, but they laid me off. I was the only one who would do anything on the job. I would clean the bathrooms, I would seat the guests, and the white girls would sit around and talk, so I could not believe that they were firing me. Now all I had was a few pair of True Religion jeans that my mom's girlfriend gave to me to sell because she had been selling True Religion jeans and she had a really nice Hummer. So now I had to figure out how I could sell the True Religion jeans because I didn't have a job. And my mother was telling me that she was moving out of town. And now I feel like abandoned again. I had started getting myself enrolled in college at Hers in college. I went alone without my parents and I passed an entrance exam. I also started filling out paperwork to get enrolled, and they would need my parents' information in order for me to qualify for the financial aid. When my mother told me that she was moving out of town to go to Texas, I didn't understand how you could want to move from such a nice house to somewhere where you barely know. But I kind of felt like it was because of me, like she didn't want me to live in the home with her, and that she felt like I would bring bad vibes or bad people around. So my grandmother was getting an apartment way down the street from where I could walk, and she was going to be living there with my cousin and sister for a little while, but my sister was going to live with my mother in Texas, and it didn't seem like I really got an offer, but my mother kind of offered me a little bit, but I was like, I am going to college, so I want to go to college, and I do not want to go to Texas with you because I'm getting enrolled in school to go to college. And I had a job, at the time things were seeming to go well. When I started to enroll in college, I had 2 jobs, so I figured that things would be good, but now I was fired from my jobs and I still was going to college. So I wasn't going to let anything stop me from that. And then I was turning 18 and I was at my grandmother's house now, and it was too far for me to walk to the mall or to get to school, and I felt so defeated because my mother helped my grandmother get an apartment and my cousin was staying next door, going to the club with friends, and I felt so left out. My sister was gone, everyone was gone, it was just me and my grandmother in the apartment. And I remember my boyfriend, who I met through my friend over the phone, who was a National Guard, he came over on my 18th birthday on December 21st to my grandmother's home. And his mother brought him all the way from the south side, I believe, near College Park area, sort of around that area, West End area. She brought him all the way from out there to Duluth Sugar Land for my birthday. And my older sister Larissa come too. And I had my natural hair now, and I was using the jam to put it in 2 ponytails as braid, and I looked like an Indian now. So I was very proud of myself. 18 years old, I looked like a beautiful Indian girl, African Indian girl. And I was sitting there with my family around me, my boyfriend. His mother did not stay, she dropped him off. My boyfriend and my sister Larissa was there, and I know that my grandmother was there. I remember that. And I don't know if Larissa was pregnant or not, but I don't think she was at the time. But my boyfriend said to me on my 18th birthday that I could come and move in with he. Around sometime after I turned 18, he said I can come and live with him, but I don't know if it was that day or later, but I remember one thing he said to me. He said, "Oh, that's your sister? Is that your sister?" I said, "Yes, that is my sister." Then he said to me, he said, "Oh, well, she has a really big booty and I like it." And I said, "Well, that's kind of disrespectful because that's my sister." The guy name I will keep hidden until I tell you about when he started abusing me. He was being very disrespectful to me on my birthday, but I didn't get upset about it. I just peeped it, and I felt at that moment that he did not truly love me. And I was not jealous of my sister at all, because she really did have a big butt, and men are sometimes nasty pigs like that. So after that, he ended up telling me that I could move in with him and his mom, and that I could go to school. So now I was getting ready to move in with him and his mother so that I could continue to get myself enrolled in college. I was so excited about going to college that I didn't really notice what was going on. My grandmother all of a sudden was too far away for me to get to a bus to go to college. I still walked as far as I could to try to get jobs, but no one would hire me. But all the black men in the area, even the managers from the job, were all trying to have sex with me. But they did not want to give me a job. So now I was 18 years old, and I was going to be with a man who was also 18 years old. He was 18 years old, and he had not completed the basic training for the National Guard yet. But I did not have a job anymore at World of Wings because they rather kept the white girls at the company. So I did not have much money or any money now, and I could not get work or make it to school. So now I had to go and move in with a young man. And I did this because I wanted to go to college. I felt like if I moved with my mother that I would fail because I had already made up my mind that I was going to go to hers in college, and that's what I did. I did have sex with my boyfriend that worked at Zaxby's, who was my age, when my mother left us alone in the house. I don't remember if we used a condom or not. I just remember him not contacting me again after that or ignoring me. I remember taking a picture with my mother on the balcony. My mother and I were almost identical, but I was lighter and she was a little darker than me. My mother was an inventor, and she had all types of products that she made. But it seemed that every time I would come around, my mom would always want to move. I felt like every time I came around, she moved. Then I was always being left alone in the home. When I would be in the neighborhood, all types of strange men would try to talk to me. But in this time, these men were talking to me at my job and when I would go look for a job, and calling me from out of nowhere. But it was always men coming around. And it was always my mother and sisters never being in the home when I was there. They were saying that they were going to work and school. And so I never went with them to their job or to school. But I went to work. And I wanted to go to school. I told AC that I would marry him. He was the man who told me that I could move in with him and his mother. So now I did not have to be called a hoe anymore. Now I was in love, even though he had disrespected me with my sister. I felt that it wasn't a big deal because I didn't get upset about it the day that it happened. I knew that he said that he loved me, and I really didn't care much about that love. I wanted to be successful, and I was willing to get along with him. So now I was going to college. I met AC through the girl who gave him my phone number. I met her through the two girls from Sandtown and Westlake High School who took all of my clothing when my mother was staying on Cascade Road. She came to my house one day when I moved to Duluth and Sugar Land, but then she did not want to stay for long. Then she left. It seemed like people were just coming around me and leaving. People were calling me out of nowhere. People were firing me and leaving me. It seemed like so much stuff was staged. And my little sister was hardly ever around. My older sister also was not around until my 18th birthday, when she came over that day. So now I was moving in with AC and his family. My family was going away. My sister was in South Carolina, I believe, going to school, to college. And my younger sister was going to Texas with my mother. And my cousins was with my grandmother. And they were never there really when I was at my grandmother's. I don't really remember a whole lot about food and things like that. It seemed to me like I was being left behind somehow. I was excited about college. And I was excited about my new fiance. And I was excited about the fact that he was a National Guard in the military. One thing I remember from World of Wings was the man who came up there with his wife, who I knew from my boyfriend Larry. He was the one with the mansion. I remember when we stayed at his house in the mansion, Larry left me. And so did his cousin and his wife said that I was too young. And she said that she didn't like doing sexual things with him, so he would cheat on her. And they left. And I was in the house with the nephew by myself. And we talked and he seemed to like me. But I wasn't ready for any of adult contact at the time. I was only into Larry. And I didn't really think he liked me. He told me they were very racist in the state where he came from. We talked for a little while. His name was Thaddeus. He was my age. He was very handsome. It seemed like we almost had the whole house to ourselves. After a while, I believe Larry returned. And his cousin and everyone come back too. And then we end up going home. Back to the Bluff. But now I was working at World of Wings. And I remember that when my mother told me that she moved out there and I come to move, I remember he and his wife stay out there. When he come into the restaurant with her, I was working as a hostess. I I was wondering if they remember me, and they did. I sat them down at a table to order something to eat. I don't remember if they did eat or not. It almost was like he was just coming up there to check on me. But I didn't know them that well for them to do that. So I put that thought out of my mind, and I figured it was just a coincidence. There was no way he came all the way from his mansion just to see me. And his wife was very beautiful, but she was a lot older than I was. And they had very expensive cars and a very expensive home. There was no way they were coming all the way from their big old mansion just to come to World of Wings to see me at my job. And then they left. My mother told me that she wanted to move to Texas after visiting Texas for 2 weeks. When I came out to live with her when I was 17, and her Irma, Larissa, everybody was staying different places. Larissa was somewhere in South Carolina. Tony was with Regina in Texas and decided to come back and tell me that she wanted to move to Texas. So now I was having to try to figure out somewhere where I could live to go to college. And then Granny and Irma had got an apartment. Irma was staying next door. I turned 18, and when I turned 18, AC Brandon Brothers was there. Larissa Lachelle Jones was there. And Shakina was going to stay with my mother in Texas, and I decided to stay. AC's mother had said that I could come and move in with them. And they were saying like somewhere near the south side or something like that. And so I moved in with them. I stayed in the house with them, and me and AC and I were engaged, and we were having sex in the home. And his mother and him were conspiring against me and his sisters, and he was attacking me in the home. I got me an apartment. I got me an apartment on Washington Road in College Park, Georgia. I signed up for it. Andrew Jones co-signed for it, and Tony paid a little money to my mother to help me move in. Basically, I really didn't have anything to do with my family. It was so far from where my mother had been staying that it was too far for me to get to work, and there were men in the area trying to sex traffic me instead of giving me a job, like at Foot Locker and all over the place now. So I knew I was going to college. They had a birthday party for me December 21st at my grandmother's house before I moved in with AC and his mother on the south side, and AC Brandon was trying to make advances at my sister Larissa from college, and I didn't let that get to me, but I didn't have anywhere else to go, so I moved in with AC and his mother. And then I was waiting for my classes to start, and I started going to Herzing University for business administration, and AC was abusing me and stealing my refund check. He was buying cocaine with it, and I was going to Herzing University and waiting for my refund check so that I could apply to get me my own apartment on Washington Road. And he was acting violent in the house, and I didn't have anyone. His mother was leaving me there with him, and everybody was leaving me there with AC so that he could abuse me inside of the home. I finally did get enrolled in college. I have got my nose pierced. Shakina was living in Texas with my mother, and Larissa was living in South Carolina. Andrew Jones, he was somewhere around Atlanta, Georgia. But my grandmother and them were saying that they were leaving after my birthday when I turned 18. And so that meant I could not live there anymore, so I still started going to hers in college from AC Brandon Brothers' mother's house. And despite the physical abuse of AC in the home toward me, I was not there long, less than like maybe a month or whatever. And then I had started going to school for business administration at Herzing University. It was Herzing College at the time, and Zakia Allen had enrolled as well, and she was from College Park, and she was the girl I stayed with when I was younger. And she had moved in with us to start going to Herzing College as well, and we were setting it up for both of us to move into the apartment together in a 2-bedroom, but she was trying to start fights and things like that with Antoinette Mitchell and with a girl named Christina Johnson, I believe. And so we didn't move in together. I moved in by myself, and I asked the leasing lady to please move me to the front of the office, and she said she would, but then she moved me to the very back of the apartment complex. And Andrew Jones and Tony, at the time, Ray, original name Tony Marshall, they were not helping me with the rent while I was trying to pay for the classes. Andrew Jones, my so-called father, had signed for me to get the apartment, and the mother, Tony, my mother, was saying that she would help me out, but she was lying. I had gotten me a job, and I had got myself enrolled in school. Andrew had put his name on there, but that he didn't qualify, and I got financial aid to go to Herzing College for Business Administration. And I had got my refund check, and AC was stealing the money, and AC Brandon Brothers was stealing the money. His mother was trying to take his side while he was in her home, abusing me before I even got to start my classes. I had moved into the apartment on Washington Road, and black women were calling his phone trying to stage arguments and altercations, and black men were robbing people all back there. She put me in the back of the neighborhood, the leasing office lady, and they were all trying to gang up on me and fight me all together all over the neighborhood and everything. So I stayed in the house. And AC was coming in the house, and he had a gun, and he pulled it out on me and threatened to shoot me with the 22. And then the black men in the neighborhood, they took the gun and they hid the gun for AC. They hid it, and when I called the police, I had a job at Touched by Angel Hair Salon. I was working as a hair braider. She was paying me a $40 base pay. Then she got upset because I was making tips, and she told me I could make $40 base pay plus tips. I was making at least like $100 a day almost coming out of there. So then she decided to take my tips down to $20, my base pay to $20, and then trying to keep me dependent upon tips in order to get paid. And it was like a sweatshop, Touched by Angel Hair Salon in Atlanta, Georgia. And then I was asked, could I work? So I started working for Clear Internet. There was a manager named Ross at the Clear Internet company. They were saying it was a new company, and they told me that the commission was a certain amount, and then when it was time for me to get paid, they had lied about the commission amount and changed it to a smaller amount. And there was a man named Marquarius, they called him Q or something like that, and he started dating me. He was one of the black men who had to come into my home to help hold back AC Brandon Borders from shooting me with the 22, and he spit on me, and all the black men had to come and grab him out of my living room, and they hid the gun. I called the police. When the police came, they said they would not arrest him, that there was no gun. And so I did go to school. I had straight A's. My mother told me that she would give me her Jaguar if I made straight A's. So I made straight A's my first semester. And then she lied and said that she never said that she would give me the Jaguar or help me out with a car. She wouldn't help me out with the rent either after she said that she would. And they had me in the back of the apartment complex, and they were terrorizing me in the back. They had strippers next door, and they were all terrorizing me in the apartment, and then Larissa came to visit me while she was pregnant with Dion, and I had she came with Andrew, I believe, and I had been terrorized, and the guy, Marquarius, or whatever his name was, he started dating me. And then he started terrorizing me and borrowing my money from the Clear Internet place. And then he was never paying back the money, and I ended up having to move.